Phone Booth Fighting, episode 234, scene 1.
All right, I like it. I'm going to leave that in at the beginning of just this episode so everybody can see Frank's new role.
I like it.
Butch Bradley is here, comedian at Stratosphere here in Las Vegas, resident comedian and guy I perform with a lot, Frank. Butch has brought a friend. Everybody introduce
Rocky
everybody.
Faith.
Yep, introduce everybody to Rocky.
UFC super fan.
Yep, Rocky is
oddly
a guy.
strong for his size. Jumps off of buildings for a living.
Man, you never watch fucking Token, man? Dwarves are strong motherfuckers. See the axes they wield and shit.
Rocky's a great dude. He's actually designed some art pieces for Phone Booth Fighting because that's the business
in an
he's
interesting
in.
way too.
If you ever wondered who puts up those giant graphics on the side of buildings and casinos and stuff like that,
that's the number one guy in the world.
That's
right there.
the business Rocky is in. I was going to call them. I mean, I guess you don't call them decals. Do you?
You know what? At that
do you
point, we
them?
call them super graphics. That's kind of
Okay.
what they're known
Yeah.
for in our industry.
Okay, so it's like
and the metal stuff that we did that
The brush metal. Yeah.
What do you call that?
That's just brush metal, man.
yeah.
That
he
shit's
did
cool,
these,
man. I remember when
yeah.
you first
It
brought
is
it over.
amazing.
Yeah, and when someone describes it to you, you're like, huh? It's a piece of aluminum with it.
Yeah, it's
man.
it's just a different printing capability. That's all.
Yeah, but print it on there. It's cool.
Off the wall graphics.
Yeah.
Off the wall signs.
Off the wall signs.
Yeah, so they do a lot of the business here, and you come to Vegas and you see the giant. Did you do the new one of David Copperfield? on the side of
Anything?
MGM?
We don't work any MGM properties.
Okay.
We do pretty much all of Harris and Caesar's Entertainment.
You did
Okay.
Donnie Marie, right?
Donnie Marie, yeah, Donnie
Penn and
Marie,
Teller,
Penn
didn't
and
you?
Teller.
I'd like to see
yeah.
Copperfield.
Luxor.
Oh yeah, that's a good show. I've seen it. You must have been so excited then, from a business perspective, when Penn Jillette lost all that weight. I mean, you had to see that and think, all new super graphics.
Yeah, you know what? We're actually changing it out in November. So.
Oh, did he gain it back?
No.
okay.
No, it's been up for 2 years. So.
Oh yeah.
It's
This is
funny
all
you say that. I
recent,
just saw him because, I went and worked out with Carl yesterday at the Rio.
Yeah.
So when I was walking in, I was looking over. I was like, man, that guy lost. Good job, dude. You know what I mean? Because, losing
Yeah.
weight and keeping it off is fucking hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially somebody who's well into
Probably
their 50s.
surgery, right?
You think? Maybe. You know
Maybe.
what? Hey, dude, however you got to accomplish a goal, that's how I think I'm a ninja, dude.
I'm down too.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Take advantage of whatever
Yeah,
you can.
course.
At the end of the day, if you succeed, you succeed.
Oh, my God,
I think
yeah.
sometimes when people want to succeed a certain way, we're like, I want to do it on my own. I'm all, okay, and then you're going to fail and still not accomplish the goal. You know what I mean? Like, not all of us are a fucking Rocky movie, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
All right, let's set the table here before we get into some fight talk and some other talk and all that kind of stuff. Check out phoneboothfighting.com. That is the website. It's where you're going to find all of our archived episodes. Also, our Amazon banner, which is the number one way to support the show. What's that all about, Frank?
that's an easy way to support the show. Just click on the Amazon banner on Phone Booth Fighting, and by doing so, it takes you over to a portal of the Amazon, and at that moment, anything you purchase, all your shopping for your wants and needs, a small percentage at no extra cost to you actually comes back here and helps us out here at the show.
That's right. Great way to support the show. Also, if you're in the need of a world-class athletic protector, I'm speaking to you fellas out there, click on the Diamond MMA banner that's right next to the Amazon banner, and you can get one of the Diamond MMA cups, and they actually kick us back a little bit, too, to support the show, but that's the cup that we both use. And I am,
Are you
I'm
wearing that now?
you know what? This is the first time this week I've had it off because I started training again for my second fight
Oh, cool.
this week. Yeah,
For the Wimp to
Went to
Warrior.
Warrior
Yeah.
season,
Congratulations,
season
dude.
2. Butch was at my first attempt, and I tell you what, I recommend if you're gonna get in an
You owe him
MMA
an apology,
fight,
man. His liver took a hit that day.
yours. yeah. If you're going to get in an MMA fight, I highly recommend having a couple of professional comedians there to roast you as soon as it's over with. And we had Butch and Doug Stanhope right there.
It was crazy.
Yeah, being
And
entirely
your whole family.
Yeah, entirely unsympathetic.
Dude,
to
Doug had a
the
guy.
outcome.
He goes, "You want a cocktail?" I go, "Dude, I'm good. It's a family event. Frank's whole family's here." And he goes, "I have a bartender." I go, "What are you talking about?" This guy in a weird suit opens up a suitcase. It was a professional bar. I go, "Dude, no." They were making cocktails. "Hey, you want a martini, Manhattan?" They're getting ready for like a 2-hour fight. and then abracadabra. But it was
You know what, that
amazing.
prepares my children, because that's how I was born and raised in Vegas. My kids are all born and raised in Vegas. So that's why you see us and just like things like that happen. It's like in a firestorm and just doesn't even bat an eye.
Doesn't
my kids
even.
look over and go, oh, okay, cool. Anyways, you know. Like,
They really were like there was nothing, because
Yeah.
I sat by your what's your wife's name?
Jennifer.
Jennifer, I'm sorry. I sat by her. She didn't even bat an eyelash.
No.
They're making cocktails and all.
Yeah.
I'm
You see a
pumped
lot
for
of
you
crazy shit
though.
here.
You're
Yeah.
brave
Stuff
to
you're
do
not
that
supposed
again.
Thank you. Well,
When you walked into the octagon, is like, look, I studied kickboxing my whole life and all that, and I love like boxing in my world. But getting in the octagon, there was something about watching you get in the octagon, and I thought that is scary shit.
Yeah.
And you're doing it again, and I think that's really admirable. You know,
it's
that's
actually
cool.
more admirable the first time. I tell people, fighting one time is not the hardest thing in the world to do, because you don't really know what the fuck you're getting into.
Yeah.
Doing it a second time,
Right.
That's impressive. You know, anybody can do some crazy shit. I mean, come on.
The guy
A lot of
did it.
guys
I'm not doing it again.
Yeah, a lot
Right.
of people have that story where you jumped off the roof of the house.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But like, you don't get a lot of people go, I did it twice. You know what I mean? I made a career out of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Just tell me you don't have to fight the same guy.
no, he's not. He's not signed up this next season.
Yeah.
So I don't know who I'm going to get. But,
if he was, it
He's
was
like
gonna work with him, man. We're gonna do a
7'2"
little-
Russian they sent in. I'm like, what? I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's funny 'cause
what?
They
Jesse
sent in
was
a
on the
sleeper
show.
cell?
Oh, the dude was seriously 6'8".
It was huge.
Fuck up.
I swear to God, I'm like, this doesn't. I'm
At
like,
what weight class?
well, he
There's
was,
no weight classes.
Wait,
Yeah.
why?
Well,
why would you do
They
that?
try to
Okay.
like match you up as close to possible.
He was a real thin guy,
Well,
so he was probably within 25 pounds north of me. But it was, you know, it's
How
a
much
difference.
were you weighing?
At that point? 170 probably.
There's no way he was under 200 pounds at 6'8".
Yeah.
There's no fucking way.
Yeah, he might have been about that, but
Yeah.
the reach was the issue.
Well, no. So I show up. I'm like, hey, man. So, you know, because they don't know who their guy's going to be until the morning. I'm like, so who's our guy? He goes, oh, the tall guy over
Oh,
there. You know, I do the thing where I look over. I'm all. And the first thing I thought was like, hey, so is everything okay with you and Jesse? Like, like, did you piss somebody off here? Like, you're such a nice guy. Like, who did you fucking like? Why do they hate you?
Frank looks back and like, oh, I fought him before as well.
That guy looks familiar. All right, let's talk. Let's talk some fights, Frank. UFC Ottawa goes down this weekend. The main event, our buddy Donald Cowboy Cerrone is taking on Al Iaquinta. In fact, Cowboy Cerrone, going back a couple of months, hosted the Cowboy Cerrone Backyard Barbecue here on Phone Booth Fighting over at our buddy and former producer Travis's house. If you want to go back and listen to that episode, that was a fun one. But Cowboy always staying busy, and he's fighting again down at lightweight after some time up at welterweight. Came back down to lightweight successfully, and now he's doing it again. Ranked number 8 among the lightweights, taking on number 4, Raging Al Iaquinta, a guy who, when he's not beating people up, he's selling houses. What do you think?
Yeah, you know, I think Alaquinta's a really tough fight. He's a great fighter. Hinzo guy for as far as his jiu-jitsu, his boxing over there. It's just good, man. Up there with Weidman and Ray Longo and all those guys, like, it just, the guy's good. Where I see that if I had to coach Cerrone through this, I'd be like, hey, look, we're longer and we're a better kickboxer. We're going to use range and stay, and not stay there. The only problem is that sometimes Cerrone is such a good combination fighter, and that is really where he's excellent at. But where I think where he kills people at, like when I've sparred with him and he's done combinations and hit angles at the same time, it's like fucking sparring a magician. He's like fucking magic, right? It's like unbelievable. Sometimes, though, he'll stand in front of you and fucking fire off these combos, and the problem is that then they can fire one back down the middle, and that's where he's been caught before in fights. And so if I was, Alaquinta's corner, I'd be sitting there going, hey, look, he might land the first 2, but make sure that you land the third one. You know what I mean? And when he's in front of you, let's rock him and hurt him. Mm-hmm. And so I see the fight really being, is if the range of if Cerrone can maintain that distance and the kicks are long, so it really is an advantage that he's a good kicker. I think he could really do well. If he sits there and gets into a firefight with Alaquinta, I think Alaquinta is more compact, a powerful puncher. And I don't think that where Cerrone has the advantage a lot of times in jiu-jitsu with guys, I don't think from the bottom he's going to have the advantage against Alaquinta. I think Alaquinta has faced a lot of slick jiu-jitsu guys and is going to know how to not necessarily beat Cerrone there, but nullify his long limbs that he's able to throw those triangles and arm bars up with.
I think this is a really important fight for Cerrone too, because of the fact that if he can beat the number 4 ranked contender in the lightweight division, especially now that the lightweight division has been opened up a little bit. I mean, you've got Khabib on the shelf here for a bit. You got Dustin Poirier as the interim champion. I mean, right, boy, you want to talk about, if you were just to throw 2 names at me, Dustin Poirier and Donald Cerrone, you think that'd be a good fight?
That might be the best fight I can make right now.
I know,
55. As far as both guys, just it's fireworks.
Yeah.
What is the normal speed of climbing up the ranks? You win this one, you win that. Is it a year? Is it 2 years?
We could sit here and dedicate a whole show to that,
Really?
and not really figure it out.
Right.
I didn't know Alaquinta had moved. I know he'd beat Kevin Lee. I didn't know he had moved up the ranks like
he
that.
fought.
Before that, he fought Khabib,
Khabib.
and he put on a great show.
Yeah.
I mean,
Put it on short notice.
12 hours notice.
a couple. Yeah,
Something
you
crazy
didn't even
like that.
train for that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the first guy Khabib didn't just completely maul.
Yep. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I thought, towards the last 2 rounds, 4 and 5, I even say, like, if this was maybe a 10-round fight, I think Alaquinta could have probably, he would have taken him. If
I think
that's what it
Alaquinta was really worried about the takedown early on. So because of his stance, there's a thing in fighting where you have to worry about what the other guy's doing, rightfully so. And you want to nullify it, but you can't be so concerned with it that you don't do what you're good at either.
Right.
You know what I mean? And really, it's a balancing point. It's a gray area. In hindsight, really, is 20/20, and that where you sit there and go, you might have respected the takedown so much that you didn't throw hands.
Right.
You're a really good boxer, dude.
Right.
You didn't box as well because you don't box out of that
But
stance.
the last 2 rounds, I felt like,
Yeah,
I was like, this is
seeing
what
that
you needed.
made me think if he had not been in that deep stance so much earlier. But then I'm saying that, and it's like, well, if he hadn't have been, maybe he got taken down and mauled for the first 3 rounds and didn't have anything left in the gas.
Did he
tank.
train for 4 or 5? Because he wasn't supposed to fight
No.
5 rounds. He was
No.
supposed to train. He was supposed to fight 3.
Yeah, he was. I think he was like deep on
So-
the undercard,
so-
if I remember
yeah.
correctly. Because what I remember about that was that I could be wrong. I have to go back and look it up. But I think he was maybe like the only other lightweight fight
To
on
happen.
that card. You know what I mean? So it's like when they realized they needed a last-minute opponent for Khabib, that was the only choice, like him and his opponent. I think maybe his opponent couldn't make. I don't know what the issue, but it was. Yeah, that was.
Well, you would chose Alaquinta over his opponent.
Yeah,
you know.
I'd have to.
But I think
I'll stop
that
down the
sounds
show and look it
familiar.
up, but yeah,
I think his opponent
isn't it
fell
the
out,
title?
And then isn't that when what's his name got hurt walking around the fucking
yeah.
Ferguson.
Ferguson got hurt
yes.
walking around like on a
Yes.
cable or something
Yes.
at the studios, Fox Studios or whatever.
It reminded me of when Joe Soto fought T.J. Dillashaw when Renan Barão couldn't make weight. The fight they did, I think it was up in Sacramento.
Yeah, it was, yeah,
where it
yeah.
was going to be I think it was the rematch, right? And
Barão like passed out. Like
Barão
cutting weight in
passed
the
out
back.
during the
Cutting
weight
weight.
cut.
Yeah.
And Joe Soto was the only other bantamweight fight, and I think he was kicking off the Fight Pass. I think he was like the
Well,
first
I think it was his
fight.
debut too on
Yeah,
UFC,
I think it
right?
was his
Yeah.
debut, and he got elevated all the way to a title shot. That
Are these
night.
guys pumped about that, or they're terrified about that?
No, you're always terrified when you're fighting.
Yeah,
But you're
yeah.
pumped too because think about it. You
Once in a lifetime chance.
Yeah, man. It's like look, it'd be like going up to bat and going, okay, I'm going to go up to bat against the best pitcher
Right.
in Major League Baseball. Well, you might get struck out by the guy that's not the last pitcher at that level in the UFC. You could lose to anybody.
I got you, right.
But all of a sudden now you have the opportunity to knock one out of the park by the best pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
So getting that opportunity to fight the champ, it's actually more nerve-wracking, I feel, for the guy who's supposed to win. Because you
Yeah.
sit there and go, okay, I was fighting Renan Barão, the former champ. And T.J. Dillashaw's point of view, TJ was more terrified.
Right.
I'm not saying I read
Because
his
you can't
mind.
lose to this little
You
guy.
can't
that
lose to
just
this
got
guy.
thrown up,
This
right.
guy's making his debut, and he was the first opening card. He was like low on the like if he does anything but wins,
Yeah.
and not win dominantly,
Right,
it's a
right.
knock on him. You
Well,
know what I mean?
That was like when TJ won the title the first time. He wasn't supposed to.
No. Right.
Like he was fish bait basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
He
that's how
was
they
just-
looked at it.
He was in
walked
line, but it was like, okay, well, here's your next opponent.
Yeah, and-
not that they, it wasn't a setup. Or like, okay, here's an easy win.
I remember the
But
Vegas
no one
odds. I
respected
remember
it.
the Vegas odds on that one because actually I bet for TJ on that fight.
Oh wow!
And
you're-
there's certain fights where I remember him because I'm like, oh man, these odds are crazy. I'm gonna throw some money down on this.
I
And-
would bet on him now, knowing the TJ that I've seen. But at that moment, at that point, all I could get in the memory of what Hennen had done to
what's his name?
Faber.
Yeah, Faber.
So I'm like, all right. And I've been
Destroyed
in the gym and watched Uriah and TJ training with each other, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, he just murdered the guy that beats his ass every day in the gym. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the guy didn't even last one round. You know, like, this is easy math.
Right.
I could have been more wrong.
I think there's another added benefit to that guy that gets that once-in-a-lifetime chance, too, and it's that even if he doesn't win, if he just hangs, if he just looks like he belongs, because here's a guy that a lot of people don't even know who this is, and the day after, even if he loses the fight, people are going to say, like what happened with Iaquinta and Khabib. Not that Iaquinta was a total unknown, but no one was talking about him the day before in terms of a title picture. And then after that fight, everybody was like, man, he stuck it out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he hung in
if you
there.
remember, that's how the narrative worked there. Everybody, Iaquinta elevated in status in a loss because like, oh, he took the fight on short notice. He only trained for a 3-round fight. That wasn't the type of opponent he was training for.
Yep.
He went all 5 rounds, you know, and he was looking good there at the end. And then on the other hand, I remember until that fight, everybody thought the natural consensus was that Khabib was going to run Conor over.
Right.
But then after that fight, everybody's like, oh, I think Conor has a chance. I mean, look how long Iaquinta lasted. You know,
and then it makes you go back and go, okay, Iaquinta is really that good.
Iaquinta's that
exactly.
good. That's why when people start saying that, I remember on the show, you can go back and listen. People are like, oh, well, you know, if Conor, you know, if Iaquinta did that, imagine what Conor would do. I'm all, guys, it's 2 different fighters. Conor is a better striker. You know, his left hand is second to none. But his grappling ability to nullify Khabib's ground attacks and his shots isn't at the level Iaquinta's is. So that's not really a comparison to sit there and go, well, now if that guy did that, it's like, nah, it's not the same kind of fighter, man. Iaquinta's extremely well-rounded.
When these guys get in the mix, is it management that can push their fighters forward? Where's the back end politics of all of this?
Management,
because there's thousands and thousands of fighters.
Sometimes the fighters too. Like Iaquinta, man, that guy, he's got a mouth on him, and he's let people know when he's unhappy. He's let it know.
And honestly, fans have a lot more power than you realize. Even though like the hardcore fans get mad because they might want it a certain way. It's really the masses that have all the power.
Right.
So if that's what the UFC looks at. They just want to appease the masses. Whatever gets the most pay-per-view buys, whatever gets the most eyes on the card is the move they're going to make. That's why you see situations where, you know, it was probably one of the bigger black eyes of recent history, in my memory, is that when Georges St. Pierre got to have a direct title shot at middleweight.
Bisping.
So he retires at welterweight. And then all of a sudden he comes back, and now he's going to fight the number one. He's fighting for the belt at a weight class up
after being out for years.
Yeah, I think at that point it was like 3 or 4 years, right?
Yeah, it's a while.
So the hardcore fans, there was a lot of uproar about it. Like, hey, this is bullshit. What is the criteria? But it's like, but guys, the mainstream fans. Everybody goes, oh, George, yeah, I heard about that guy, or made a watch with the guys that are new to the sport, and they're going to tune in and watch it. And if you're on the roster, that's why like everybody always used to get frustrated with the Brock Lesnar stuff. You know, Brock Lesnar gets this, gets that. I'm like, yeah, but that's because he has that kind of buying power.
Right.
Excellent segue, Frank, because people are still getting frustrated by Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar has retired again from MMA. Breaking news, Brock Lesnar has retired. The word was that Brock was going to fight Daniel Cormier maybe sometime over the summer. That's certainly something Cormier wanted. But according to Dana White, Brock Lesnar has informed the UFC that he will retire from MMA. And so now Cormier versus Stipe Miocic, the rematch is targeted for August. Frank, do you believe that Brock Lesnar is going to retire because he talks about retiring a lot?
I think he'll come back. He's still young enough and athletic enough, obviously, and has a name that, what's he going to do? Sit on the farm? I mean, he's been in the limelight since he was in college. He's been a spectacle, and then right out of college he goes into pro wrestling, and then he's made a career in the UFC also. So I just don't see that guy really fucking, what is he, 42?
Let me
41?
look it up. He's in his 40s.
Yeah, early 40s. And so, I mean, he's going to hang it up. I mean, I think it's just, personally, Brock, whether it's him or whether the people behind him is pretty intelligent, the marketing and management aspect of this. I don't think the UFC gave him enough money for him to take the fight. So I think he's like, well, fuck you guys, I'll retire.
Creates heat. It creates heat.
Yeah.
You start saying that, and
then
then
like,
money
okay,
can
let's
go
see.
up.
Okay, you don't want to give me what I want? Let's see what Stipe gets you guys.
He's going to be 42 in July. I think with Brock, his middle name is Edward, by the way. Never knew that. I think that the thing with Brock is it's always about. It's always
Yeah, but
about.
I can see Eddie.
Yeah, it's always.
He looks
about,
like an Eddie.
You retired, Eddie.
It's always about negotiation tactics with him because he is in a very unique situation in this regard. That we always talk about how if you're with the UFC, everybody's working for the same promoter, and that way there's no competition and the fighters don't get paid as much. But in his case, he's kind of like a marquee boxer, like a guy who is a free agent and, do I go with Golden Boy or do I go with Bob Arum or whatever? Because that's what the WWE and the UFC are to him. Every time one of these, little 2-3 fight deals, 1 year deal with the WWE, whatever it is, comes up due, it's like, well, do I go live with mom or do I go live with dad? And he gets them fighting for his attention.
See, I agree with him. When I saw him go step into the octagon with Cormier after Cormier won his last fight and he pushed him, to me it was it looked rehearsed almost.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the smile that Cormier had afterwards, and it just to me, I was like, he's doing this to build up what he's got going over in wrestling.
Yeah.
When they were talking about Cormier and Lesnar fighting, I never saw it happening. And in my mind, being a fan of the UFC, I wanted to see Stipe and Cormier fight again. I didn't want to see him fight Lewis. I didn't want to see any other fights. I know he went down to light heavyweight and fought there as well. I felt like Stipe deserved that shot.
Well,
so
we're both on record as saying that Cormier would blow Lesnar out of the water, but it sucks for Cormier to actually miss out on this because it would have been a nice payday for him.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I get why he wanted to do it. I mean, he's a guy who's already passed his self-imposed retirement date and all that.
Yeah.
And when he's been on the biggest stages in terms of the biggest pay-per-view buys of his career and the most people watching it, he's come up short with Jones. So it would have been nice for him to get a legitimate.
Then why not go back after Jones?
Pay-per-view. Cormier and Jones again?
Why not do it?
I mean, he'd have. Well, there's a couple of things. He'd have to go
I don't think
back.
he could beat him. I just think.
Yeah,
but listen. I think Cormier thinks he could.
No, I think that Cormier has been in there with Jon.
And he knows? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that one guy that's just got your card?
Yeah, he just has his card, man.
It's like
but Jon has everybody's fucking card.
Yeah,
what
what if they fought at heavyweight? And I think I've seen somewhere Jones said I would never fight him at heavyweight because that's like his area.
Yeah.
And he knows that.
Jones has talked about going up to heavyweight before for various reasons. He's been mentioned as an opponent for Brock Lesnar too. But Frank has said this that when you don't realize it's easy to lose sight of the fact that Daniel Cormier is the second greatest light heavyweight in MMA history.
Yeah, ever.
He is. I mean, all he did was lose to Jon Jones.
That's it.
Yeah. And everybody else.
And gave him a close
dominated.
fight the first time,
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. He's won rounds against Jon, which is more than.
I don't think Jon would want to fight him at heavyweight for the reason being that if you watch even the second fight, Cormier landed shots on Jon. I think one of the shots even knocked his mouthpiece out.
Uppercuts. He had a lot of success with.
Now that's the 220-pound version of Cormier.
Where he'd
I don't think that 220-pound version of Cormier can knock Jon out. I don't think the 220-pound version of Cormier can knock out Stipe. But now all of a sudden, and I got this more or less, I seen it, but then I really pieced it together when I was talking to Josh Thompson, who's one of his training partners, trains there with him, even though he's a lighter guy, but he's one of his teammates, talking about, hey, all of a sudden Cormier, when he got up to about 240, 245 again, knocking guys out in sparring, where he wasn't doing that before.
Right.
It's like, now he's back to where his power's back, so he has more ass behind him to throw those punches. So I think that it's a much closer fight and winnable fight for Cormier at heavyweight. And Jon's a very analytical, cage fighting wise, the guy's fucking a genius, and he has Greg Jackson who knows what he's doing, sitting there talking to him going, hey, we already got 2 wins over this guy. Why are we going to make it easier for him to get a third? He's extremely motivated to get a third fight. Let's just go. Hey, it ain't broken. Tell him he has to beat us at 205. Let's make it to where he has to. We're not going to make it easy for him. He's still the second best guy in the world,
Yeah, he's and I like I said, I wonder if the whole thing is a serious commitment to not taking the fight against Cormier, or if this ends up being something that happens and it's just a matter of a negotiating ploy.
Well, here's the thing I thought about at first. I was like, you're negotiating. I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden they pull Stipe out and put, Lesnar in. But the problem is that he announced retirement. So guess what happens when he says, "Oh, I'm unretired"?
Out of the testing.
He's got to go back into testing.
He's got to go back into testing for 6 months.
Didn't they? What did they do though? Do you remember when he fought
and Mark Hunt tried to sue the shit out of him for it.
Right, because
he ended up testing positive.
Well, I remember that, but also, did he have to adhere to that normal 6-month window?
No.
I don't think he did.
No, he
right?
didn't.
Did they just give him an exemption for that? Oh boy.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, I guess they can do whatever the fuck they want to do.
Yeah.
But the last time he gave the guy an exemption, it came out that he had, shit in the system.
Right.
Yeah,
how
you're
do
not
you
getting that again.
Yeah, you're not getting that. I think Lesnar's and the Connors of the world can get away with obviously a lot more than anybody else can.
Yeah.
I don't think that you can get away with that.
Right.
I
Makes
think
sense.
that might be just one step too far.
Yeah.
I think the commissions would even, I don't know. Everybody might be a little,
How close do they test you? Are you being tested like that day? Can they
Yeah.
test you? They prick a finger or something?
Yeah, well, it's a urine test, and they do blood usually right after the fight if they're going to do blood, or they could do blood like 2 weeks before the fight. They try not to do blood, obviously, within a couple days of the fight.
Right.
But it's urine the whole time that they use, and then what they do is a testing pool, and so when you first come out of retirement,
Yeah.
to basically dissuade people from going on a steroid retreat, basically going, hey, I'm going to retire so I don't have to be tested. Then I can juice up and build my body up to a certain level. And then I'm unretired, get everything out of my system, and then, coast basically a slow decline,
Into a
a
fight.
month or 2 months out from a fight. So their mindset is like, well, we'll make you have to take a 6-month period of getting tested with no competition. So that way there's really no
You can't do
advantage.
that.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
you're going to juice up and then coast for 6 months.
You can't cuss for 6 months.
No.
Yeah.
Rory MacDonald, Frank, made some news over the weekend that I thought would be of interest to both of us. He fought Jon Fitch in the opening round of Bellator's welterweight tournament. MacDonald goes in as the champion. He fought Fitch to a majority draw, and because MacDonald came in with the title, then even though it was a draw, he will advance in the tournament, which I guess was just a rule that they made when he entered the tournament. That was kind of news to me. But what was also
That might have got made.
exactly on the
Yeah, that might have been on the spot.
But what was also news to me was Rory MacDonald's recent religious conversion. I always equated him with like one half of Leopold and Loeb. Does anybody remember the two guys that the Alfred Hitchcock movie Rope was based on? Roy MacDonald has always kind of creeped me out as just kind of having this like steely serial killer kind of American Psycho-like vibe. But apparently he's got a new Pentecostal girlfriend. And she has shown him
things we will do for love.
She has shown him the
Wasn't the
light,
word I was
Frank.
gonna use, but okay.
And
I'll switch gods for that vagina.
he
Seen the light.
he said in his post-fight interview that he now hesitates in fighting because it's conflicting with his religious values to be so violent, and he's feeling that he's hesitating in a way that he's never hesitated before.
God, he got a good blowjob that night.
Nah.
Right? Imagine what
So-
she's capable of.
So he sounded like he was perhaps going to not continue fighting. Now, he has since released a statement through Bellator saying, quote, I am going to move forward in this tournament and compete boldly against Neiman Gracie. That's going to be his next opponent. And they're going to do it, by the way, in June. It's a very quick turnaround, June 14th at Madison Square Garden. He got a 60-day medical suspension.
Is that enough time for recovery right there?
Well, the thing is, he got a 60-day medical suspension, so they're going to have to figure their way around that one. But yeah, he'll be right back in there.
When you get a 60-day, it means 60 days unless you go see a doctor. So you can go to a doctor and get cleared.
And get cleared?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, I was saying, Frank, this would present an interesting.
How
we
can
haven't
you
really.
fight if you religiously believe you can't? I don't even comprehend. If that's even in his head, he's done.
Yeah, we haven't seen this that I can recall, at least on this high profile of an example play out like this before. I was saying, Frank, like maybe a new cottage industry opens up for you and I. We could be the atheist emergency response team. Whenever they see something like this happen in MMA, they drop Frank and I in right away, and we double team. We corner them in the locker room.
Science and logic.
Yeah.
1-2.
What's crazy to me is some of the most brutal knockouts I've either seen in boxing or even MMA, it usually is ended with someone saying, "I just want to thank
Yes.
God, my Lord,
know
Savior,
what?
in Christ."
I think it was Ben Folks.
When I'm like, what?
I think it was Ben Folks from MMA Junkie. Hopefully, I'm giving proper credit, but he actually had a great tweet about that. He said, McDonald says that his following of God's teachings or whatever, are conflicting with being violent. He said, which actually, I have to admit, makes a hell of a lot more sense than
I
the
was just
guys
gonna
who
say that.
thank God for helping knock somebody in.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's
Yeah,
true.
it's true.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. What do you think, Frank? I mean, that's like Butch just said. I mean, even if he keeps fighting and isn't immediately retiring or anything like that, that does kind of sound like a little bit of a red flag of concern when you're hearing somebody talk like that.
You guys just talk shit to each other ever when you're in there? I just pull them up close and go, God is so disappointed in you. Right?
Yeah,
Do you talk shit to each other in there?
Whenever I've had conversations, it's always been looking back on it, probably humorous. You sit there, good shot, or fuck, hey man, fuck man, I wanted that arm. Why did you know what I mean? Like, almost kind of because really I'm never angry when I'm fighting somebody. It's a sporting event, really, and it's just a game. I'm trying to beat you and you're trying to beat me. But as far as Rory's seeing the light here. I don't know how much I really believe it. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I mean, the guy's still, he's almost 30 years old. I'm not saying he didn't convert over and see stuff, but I find it sneakily suspicious that, the woman in his life, I mean, come on, man. I mean, that fucking, guys drive different cars, fucking buy different outfits, cut our hair a certain way. We're pretty driven to get pussy. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
The hunter in us has fucking come out. You know what I mean?
Can you pull an image up of her? We need to see this girl.
Yeah.
We need to see,
All right, let's
seriously.
see if I can find something here.
So I think that, look, I think he's just talking the talk, just like how a lot of guys are. Hey, look, girls wear makeup, guys use words.
Babe, I'm not going to hit him that hard, all right? I'm going in. It's going to be the
Before they
less
fought,
violent.
She was like, "Okay, just remember, not so hard this time.
Yeah, right?
Be a little softer."
Well, the problem is that you search Rory MacDonald girlfriend, and it's just a bunch of
100
pictures of
women
him and
come up.
girls come up. Yeah.
All different women.
That's so
Yeah.
funny.
Some Muslim girls, Jewish girls, Catholic girls,
Yeah, he's
right?
been getting around. He is pictured a lot with someone named Ashlyn Rainbow.
Oh, boy.
So maybe that's
that
maybe
feels
her.
that feels a little hokey. I like this.
Yeah.
Look, what does she look? I got to see this girl.
All right. That's her right there.
Blonde chick?
Yeah.
She's cute.
Yeah.
She's cute, but God didn't send her.
You think Dana White did?
That's funny.
That's good.
Find out she's really a $10,000 hooker.
Right? All right, line up the women. That one will work. You remember, you're Pentecostal. Get
Yeah,
in
right,
there.
Right, yeah.
All right?
See if you can get him to handle the snakes. All right,
Yeah,
here's
the Ashland one is here because it says talking about his personal life. He's currently engaged to his longtime girlfriend,
Rainbow.
fiance, Ashland Rainbow.
there you go.
Dear God.
Here's
Like,
an
at least
interest-
change your stripper name. No.
here's an interesting story out of the Far East.
You promised to buy me a unicorn if you won.
The oddball headlines keep coming here. You hear about this one, Frank? One championship, of course, headquartered over in Singapore, has instituted mandatory agent certification requirements in order to represent their fighters. It includes an Asian residency requirement.
Interesting.
Let me just hit a few of the things that they are going to require the agents of their fighters to have. It is going to include no prior criminal record, no history or current ongoing matters of legal or lawsuit activity with any athlete, as well as a minimum of 10 years experience in the martial arts industry and a college degree. And that the Asian residency requirement. Now, right offhand, I'm thinking about some of the people I've seen swimming around the periphery of fighter representation. I'm thinking this is going to
Yeah, that pretty
exclude
much
a
eludes them out. Everybody I can think of.
number of folks. Yeah. Well, I mean, I like the idea that somebody is going to try to have some standards because up to this
or are
point,
they trying to control it from Singapore?
exactly what it
They're
is.
just trying to control it.
Well,
they would be like,
it's a
"Hey,
takeover.
We got a guy that can manage you because your guy can't manage you anymore."
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, here's our dude here.
Yeah.
I was down with everything except for when you told me there has to be a resident, Asian resident. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
it doesn't
It's
have to
gonna
be
be one
that,
of
or
their
they have
guys.
to like just have residency there. Like, could
I see what you're saying. Could
like
they just
if they have residency there,
just rent an Airbnb or something? You know,
Pretty much,
yeah.
right?
Well, I mean, the first thing
and
that
what does
comes
it take
to
to
mind,
state residency?
I mean, Demetrius Johnson,
I was just gonna
represented
say,
by first round management. You know, your old manager Malky and everything. Like, I mean, could they even claim that? I mean, they're a big legit agency, but I don't think any of those guys have Asian residency.
No, and I don't know
I
the
did in
requirements.
Shanghai.
Could it be
I
as
think I
just
could be
as
an
much
agent.
like because I mean I don't know how that works in China. Can we call up and rent a place?
I don't
mean,
know. And by the way, also, why do you have to have a college degree? That's another weird one too. I get having some prior, like showing a track record of experience, but what does a college degree
You
necessarily
know what? It almost
have
sounds
with
like they're
doing
trying
that?
to eliminate somebody particular.
It does,
really
right?
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
it'd make it difficult
wonder,
for your guy to be the guy.
Yeah.
And now, lo and behold, they have here. But here's a pool of guys you can pick your management
Right.
from.
Yeah, you're gonna be limited to amount of
Yeah.
people that.
Yeah, and those guys are their guys. It's like
And they, yeah.
so and so's buddy. It's like, hey, why don't you be a manager and I'll send the fighters your way, and it'll look like an extension, but you're really just. We're on the
part of the
same
world,
team. And now you're going to get a percentage of these fighters on the backside,
Singapore, Malaysia, China, that whole world is just so corrupt. A business deal is so crazy. It's insane. So it's probably, it's money. It's just money.
Yeah, yeah. That does seem like it's a real trap to fall into.
Yeah. Now, they would have said the 10 years of experience, and wanted a certain bar. I'm like, oh, that's helping fighters out. You know what I mean? Like maybe get rid of some of the riffraff that just chumps into management. But again, some of the requirements they're having just strangely biased towards their guys and excluding, a lot of U.S. representation.
Well, even other people that fight throughout the world. If you got Brazilian fighters and stuff that are fighting over there and stuff as well.
And you also have to wonder too, like when you sign a contract with an organization. I mean, maybe Frank, you'll be able to weigh in on this from a standpoint of experience. It's one thing, like say you're under contract to the UFC and they go, okay, we're gonna do it. We're gonna have a new rule where all main events are 5-round fights instead of 3 rounds. Like, okay, well, that's you're already contracted the organization. That comes along with it. But if they just kind of arbitrarily say,
this is administrative though.
Yeah, right. If they just kind of arbitrarily say, hey, guess what? Now, anybody who manages you has to live in our home country. I wonder at some point if you can't argue, look, this doesn't have anything to do with the deal that I signed with you. You can't hold me to this deal.
At any time, now that I'm with Bellator, they haven't changed anything since my shorter time being there. But during my career at the UFC, shit would change, and you would get an amendment to your contract emailed over to you. Like, hey, we need you to sign this because we're changing something that would be different than what you signed.
Oh, yeah.
And so we need you to confirm, are you on board or you're not? And I don't know what would happen if you said you weren't on board. I guess they could sit there and go, oh, now we can part ways or, but they did get that signature on the paper going, oh, okay, hey,
You
by the way,
agree to
for example, when USADA came in, people were under contract before USADA came, and it wasn't like, well, that was never part of the contract I signed. Well, guess what? Here's an amendment to that contract saying that now you're going to, be compliant towards USADA.
Yeah. And I guess kind of the same. I don't know.
Was that just apply to that part of the world though? Like you can fight in the States and everything. Like you know what I mean?
No,
Why-
that's them. Their
just
organization.
Singapore.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
Singapore.
just that
How
promotion.
much fighting's
that
going
promotion.
on over there?
Well, one
One.
championship. I mean, with the exclusion of obviously UFC, Bellator, PFL. I mean that's a big organization. I mean that's where Demetrius
They're trying to
just
keep
went.
their fighters under
Eddie
their
Alvarez
management.
just went. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like there's a buddy of one of the managers who's looking, so
Was it Sage North?
Imagine like
You
you're
know about
a Dana White.
Yeah, that's right. He did go over there.
And you're sitting there going, okay, here's my buddy over here. How can I help him get a business going? Oh, you know what? I'm going to divert these fighters,
Yep.
managers. You're going to be the manager now.
Yep.
What do you have? You have a college degree? Cool. We'll put that in there. You got to have a college degree.
10 years
You
of
live
martial
here,
arts.
10 years. So you've been doing this shit for 10 years, right? All right, 10 years. Okay, cool. Now I got my guy. So then when I sit there and call up this young guy, he goes, your manager can't work with you anymore. He doesn't fit our requirements. He doesn't have a college degree, or he doesn't have an Asian, residency. But guess what? You know what? Here's a pool of a couple guys that do have it. By the way, my friend Rocky, he can help you out.
Yeah.
Here's his number. He's a manager. Then now it's like, oh, thanks, buddy. You make sure that they don't do nothing crazy when it comes to negotiation time. Don't ask for too much. Ask for what I want them to ask for, and then you're going to be making a percentage off of them. You know what I mean? So now I'm negotiating against the guy who's really on my team.
I wasn't team about.
Yeah, now comes contract negotiation.
Right.
Are you really? I'm the one that got you the guy as the organization. You're not going to fucking burn me.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Frank's seen it all. Speaking of,
I'm usually on the wrong side of it. Fuck.
Frank put the call out a couple of weeks ago for any of our listeners to let us know if they had any firsthand experience with cuckolding. Do you remember this? You all right, Frank? Frank almost choked up there.
Did you time that perfectly or
Yeah,
what?
we almost had a spit take on
You guys,
on our
you know what
YouTube
cuckolding
channel.
is, right? Obviously you do.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I meant that as a comedian. As a comedian, obviously you're familiar with the concept of cuckolding.
Yeah. All right. So that's when husband watches his girl have sex
the
with
man
someone else,
reverse.
Way
right?
to play
And
dumb,
not only
Butch.
watches it,
I've heard
enjoys
that
it.
This is
enjoys it.
And he can
Enjoys
help
himself
out.
to it.
No, he doesn't help out. He gets humiliated why it's happening. So like if I'm what they call it, the bull. What's the dude that's doing the bang?
Yeah, the alpha, I think sometimes.
Is that what they call the
But
alpha?
I've heard the term bull.
Okay.
I think that's
So I'm the bull, right? I like the bull.
Yeah.
And I'm banging the guy's girl. She's talking shit to him at the same time.
Like, your penis is too small.
Yeah,
That's why
like,
he's riding
This is
me.
what it's like to get fucked by a real man type
Yeah.
shit. So like while you're sitting there, you're being humiliated. And guys pay for this shit. They want this shit. Like the guy, it's like
Yeah.
It's like this. It's like this, Butch.
We sell this service at a premium out at the brothel. As a matter of fact, that's how
Dude,
it recently
tell him,
came
no.
up.
Hear what this motherfucker wanted, man. Hold on, tell him the story real quick. So we'll catch you up before we go to what the readers
All
say.
right. So to rewind a couple of episodes, one of our resident porn stars out at the brothel had gotten a request from a client. He wanted to come in and pay for her services, but not for himself. He wanted to come in and watch her have sex with a guy, and he wanted us to provide the guy as well as talent, and then she would verbally humiliate this client the whole time, talking about how he's not good enough to have sex with her and all this kind of stuff. So he would pay a substantial amount of money to not have sex with this prostitute.
But he is going to end up having sex because
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
This is the-
yeah.
Okay.
In
it
this-
gets worse. It gets so much worse.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
right.
already pretty bad.
No.
No, in this
It gets way worse.
In this particular case, he then wanted the guy to simulate forcing himself on the client.
Force him to suck his dick and bang him.
No.
and pay for the privilege.
And like I said, that's gay, which
this
is a lot of
happen?
extra steps,
Did
right?
it
That is like
That's just gay with extra
Yeah,
steps, man.
Did you take the job, Richard?
Well, no, yeah, exactly.
you're putting everything together right now because you got to find a guy that
You
goes
need a
both
manager.
ways. That's
You do. Well, that's the funny thing because
is that guy a prostitute, or you
Yes,
just
he
have a
is.
dude at the bar that's like, I got this.
you're asking a lot.
I got this.
You're asking.
which is like, what day do I come
There's a lot
in?
of hoops to where they got to figure
No.
out. This is the.
You're asking a lot of relevant questions, and that's why it has taken so long to put this experience together. Because the deal is, if it was just a guy at the bar, like you two guys, for example, if you wanted to come into the brothel and Butch was like, hey Rocky, I forgot my wallet. How about we go in on this experience together and I'll pay you back when we get back to the house or whatever. Let's go in 50-50. You could legally do that. We could allow that if you guys felt that comfortable with each other.
We don't. We're fine.
Right, but you could. And so if it's just some other client, we could. But if he wants the male-male interaction, If he if it was just the guy, if the guy just wanted to say, "Hey, I'm gonna pay for this dude at the bar to have sex, I'm just gonna sit over here and watch," we could do that, no problem.
That's easy.
But once it gets into the
Crossing over to the bisexual,
then we have to have testing.
this guy's got to be skilled.
And now you got to find a guy that can go 2 times in a row.
Okay, wait.
You have to test him sexually, right?
Yeah.
No. Here's my thought. I think it's the financial transaction that's the problem. Because if 2 guys paid to fuck a girl, right, and they're both the customer because they both gave money, they're not receiving money, and they decide to start fucking going at it with each other, you guys wouldn't stop them, right? You wouldn't have to suddenly go, well, you guys haven't paid. Essentially be like a couple, like a heterosexual couple.
That's right.
Me and my girl decide to bang a girl. You're not going to make us get tested to fuck each other.
That's right.
But if I decided to pay my wife, right, now she's receiving transactions. Like, that's the problem is the guy is on the receiving end. If he did it for free, we technically probably get away with the testing.
We can't have the guy losing his amateur status. Basically,
right?
Yeah. Right. And so if that were to happen, then we've got legal issues. So yes, you're absolutely right.
It's the money. It's like it's
prostitution. Everyone's
money
tested.
involved.
Everyone's tested.
Well, the clients are not. It's condoms mandatory.
Yeah.
And there is a visual inspection. So if you're having any kind of outbreak or anything like that, we're going to tell you to come back on a better day.
Wow.
But
and they've had guys.
The fact that you let them come back is crazy.
No, there's people who've come in and have to be told, like, nah, man, your dick is fucking, you got a blister.
You got herpes.
Like, the fuck is you? Did you not think we would see that? You know?
I
call that the phenomenal walk of shame where you sit there and go, you're too dirty for a whorehouse. You must leave.
Are you the guy that looks?
All right, hang on. All right, hold
on.
I'll
this
tell
is
you what.
interesting.
You turn into the doctor?
I'll rewind even further. I'll retell that one before I retell the one we're just getting into before I read the email that we got directly.
This is always such a deep quagmire when we
is.
open up the
So
prostitution.
what Frank is talking about is, God, this probably goes back a year or so, if not longer. But what happens is when you go in, you select your girl or whatever, and you go back to her room and you have your negotiation about what everything's going to cost. She will do a visual inspection before she takes you to the pay window, and that's just to make sure that there's no sores or outbreaks or anything like that going on. Normally not a problem, but in this and if you saw anything like that, you'd be like, "Hey, I'm sorry, we can't do anything today." But this particular day. And I just happened to be on the phone with Frank the whole time this was going on. I was watching it play out. I see in our cashier's office this brand new girl, because this was like the first time she was ever about to essentially be a prostitute. She comes to the window with this guy. And
What's her last name? Rainbow?
Whoa. Probably a safe bet.
Whoa. I'm going to get beaten up for that.
Rainbow is probably in there somewhere. So they come to the window, and she says, this gentleman and I were going to book for an hour, whatever it was, and they run the credit card. Now, that happens all day, every day. So now they go back to the room. Well, because she was brand new, she had forgotten the order of everything, and she didn't understand that she had to do the visual inspection before we run the credit card. Because if there's going to be a problem, we want to be able to tell you, hey, I'm sorry, we can't do this today, without any actual money
transaction, right?
Well, she did it in the wrong order. So,
which, in hindsight, if you're a guy that, like, I remember when I worked at the strip club, we had those guys that basically could bust a nut from fucking a lap dance. If you're one of those dudes, which could be a blessing.
Yeah.
Maybe during the inspection, you get a freebie. You know what I mean? Like, she sits there, she touches the scruff of your cock, boom!
Yeah.
You're like, you need me to run the car?
Probably
I'm
happened.
good. I'm
it's
good.
Probably happened.
Probably has.
Probably has.
So they run the credit card, and then they go back to the room. That's where she sees that there's a visual issue with this guy and some kind of outbreak. She can't have sex with him, but she has to bring him back to the pay window. And just like any other credit card refund, get on the phone with the bank.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And
what's the percentage of this? What's the percentage?
Yeah.
Does this happen all the time?
Is this like a 20-30%?
Oh, where someone's rejected?
Yeah.
Very rarely.
Okay.
Because I got to imagine has to. That's why I don't feel bad.
I'm only asking because I'm thinking about opening up a 24-hour clinic right next to your place of business.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to supply the penicillin.
Yeah.
If you need to get rotted, let me know.
Right?
There's no way that this motherfucker didn't know.
I'm
a guy.
I look at my stuff all the time.
One of my
I go, how you
veins
doing?
changed
He's like, I'm
colors like a tent. I would know within 5 minutes of it happening. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
I probably have more, like most men,
Listen.
have a very intimate knowledge of my
Exactly.
genitalia.
Listen,
You're goods.
I'm always looking at it, touching
Hey,
it.
that
Hey.
mole's new. I haven't seen that mole
the
before.
two things all guys know. They know the size of their arms and they know the size of their penis.
Yeah, right.
That's it
And
right
arm
there.
size, dicks, everybody know. Yeah, you're familiar.
Yeah.
So there's no way this guy was like, oh, shit.
Where'd that come from?
Yeah, there's no way.
And that's why it rarely happens, just because most people aren't going to put themselves in
What
that
did he
situation.
say? Was he like embarrassed? He was like, yeah.
Credit card refund.
Well, the thing was...
Didn't he think that, well, if I use a condom, like, was
No.
that
is that their thought?
No, the thing was, I mean, the girl kind of did all the talking as far as explaining why we needed the refund, and the guy didn't say much, but everybody knew. I mean, the thing is, it's not even instant. It's not like cash where
So
like,
he,
okay,
I
no
forgot
problem,
about that. Did
come
he have
back
to
again.
stand there?
Yes. He had to stand there, and because the thing is, we tried to.
I can't think of a more humiliating situation.
Why is this not on TV? I want to watch and look
Wow.
at
This is gotta be like
Right?
a reality show.
I can't
man.
think of any situation in my life
More embarrassing.
that I would have been more embarrassed than me standing there.
Yeah, I got
while
herpes.
the hooker is telling the cashier that my
And
dirty
the bank.
dick- Yeah, I'm like sitting there in this phone call, like everybody's like,
Did you say, well, he can't go through with this because we checked him and he's got extra character.
Yeah, he's got herpes.
yeah, he's got like a
herpes.
third
So-
head growing out of his dick.
What the fuck?
So the thing is, it's like, sometimes on a credit card refund or whatever, you can just key it in. But if it flags as like, wait a second, what's going on? You have to call the bank. That's what had to happen. The guy had to get on the phone with the bank and tell him and explain.
I'm glad you retold the story. I don't
Yeah.
remember these details. I think I was
Yes,
so
it's
shocked
incredible,
by
right.
certain aspects of
It's
it.
shocking.
I didn't get to take in the full.
Yeah, the guy had to get
Listen,
on
I got herpes.
First of all, can
herpes.
you imagine that? Can you imagine being at a brothel and you have to even get on the phone with the bank, even if there's just say it's you. Hey, we flagged your card as suspicious activity. Just do you want to? Yeah. So where are you, sir? Your last 5 transactions.
Herpes
Like,
just saved you $5,000, sir.
transaction. Yeah, I went and bought some Viagra at the pharmacy,
Right.
condoms, lube, and
yeah.
now I'm here at the brothel, motherfucker.
Yeah, and so he had to get on the phone and explain to him, that it wasn't. And the funny thing was too, he had to explain it wasn't fraud, because then we'd get reported. Like he's like,
course.
no, I'm not reporting fraud. I'm just having to get this refund.
I would just be like, I changed my mind, guys.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't tell them the truth.
Yeah.
I changed my mind.
So
and
basically, I'm on the phone with Frank while this is going on, and I'm passing the guy out, like he's walking out of the brothel, and I as soon as he was out of earshot, of course, I'm telling Frank the story, and it wasn't even 11 a.m. And I was like, man, what a day! What for this guy? Rejected at the brothel before 11 o'clock in the morning. Fuck. So back to our cuckold. So
Yes.
So
Full circle.
this guy is trying, because it's funny when I said. Oh yeah, we need a guy to come in and bang this porn star for free while some dude pays for it and watches. There were no shortage of volunteers.
no, of course not.
Until I got to the part about, and then you gotta fuck the guy.
Hey,
Like,
that's-
oh yeah, no.
that's like when you
probably
play
not.
something really bad, like those bad games you play with your friend. You're like, okay, what would you rather do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, what would you rather do?
get
You
the
could
fuck
fuck
the
this porn
prostitute.
star, but
But
you gotta fuck this dude in the corner.
But the guy that's crying, sitting in the couch over there.
Yes. But I have an update
What is
on
that?
this.
What does that
and
cost?
that could be kind of a deal breaker too. I mean, I don't know if I want to be banging a girl and look over and seeing
See
some
some
guy.
creepy dude.
Just making eye contact might fuck with my wood. You know what I mean? I just got to be honest with you.
I can't
Making
do
eye
it.
contact with another man during sex,
No.
that's like a taboo. You know what I mean?
No.
Like,
Yeah, and so I have an update on this. So we're of course looking for our male talent, and because this person is going to act in a professional capacity, we have got to get them tested and licensed just the same way we would.
Wow.
you
He's
know,
got to
the
go
girl.
pro.
Yeah, he's got to be a pro.
So this guy's got to pay for all that, though.
Yes, he will pay for his test. Oh, you're talking about the client?
Yeah.
The cuckold dude.
It's all in the overhead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all,
So-
you're paying a premium.
What kind of numbers are we talking about here, Richard?
what it's going to cost for this
Yeah.
guy?
Wait, can we throw numbers and you say who's
Yeah.
closer?
Yeah, you go first.
I'm going to say 35K.
I was going to say 13 grand.
I'm thinking 10. 10.
Yeah, I'm 10 to 13 we can do. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's not going to be that much.
That's
but,
cheap.
Yeah. But I'll tell you this though, part of it is the fact that there is reverse discrimination in porn and straight porn. The guys get paid a pittance compared to what females make.
I don't think that's discrimination. I hate it when people sit there and go, well, sports are not fair.
I think that's bad negotiation deals
Female
right there.
basketball player only makes what a male basketball player. I'm like, look, in the entertainment world, you're paid what people want to view.
Yeah.
I can't discriminate that Brock Lesnar is like, well, fuck that. He gets paid more than I do. Well, guess what? You put his name on something, and more people are going to watch it. They watch me. It's just fucking facts of life.
Yeah.
So guess what? A female is going to get paid more than a guy because, one, there's no social taboo really for a man to be fucking a bunch of people. It's like, you twist the guy's arm. You don't have to fuck all these fucking
She's
hot
the
guys.
fantasy.
I'm gonna say
fantasy.
I don't know.
I don't know.
In
In
this
this
situation,
scenario,
it sounds
though.
like it's the guy.
In this scenario,
He's doing the
though.
hard
in
work.
this scenario, this guy,
He's doing
right.
more than work.
Oh, yeah, no. In this one, this is like,
Yeah.
well, I can't think of another fucking scenario.
And what does the cuckold look like? I think I'd have to know. Is he like somewhat attractive? Like, does he look normal, or is he like, yeah, I'm ready? Like, is he in the
No,
cool?
He's
I
like
have to
5'10",
imagine-
red hair, blue
No,
eyes,
you know what?
tattoos
We've
on his
had this
forearm.
discussion, and from what I hear, because he had one of the girls that does this talk from the brothel, and she says it's like, it's kind of like the same guys that want to get their ass beat by a girl. You know what I mean? Like, it's the guys that are in their everyday life are extremely powerful. That's why I even made jokes. I'm like,
Dom guys.
I thought I was pretty alpha, and I guess I'm just not alpha enough that I want to have this ever happen to me. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I guess I still get put in my place enough to keep me checked in other ways.
Right.
Whereas these guys are like a fucking Donald Trump that like basically have the say of everything from 9 to 5, and they
Right.
just want to be able to give up control.
Yeah.
Well, so we were looking for this male talent. And, of course, it had to be somebody that could meet the testing standards and all that kind of stuff.
Stay hard.
And, exactly, it had to be a pro. And so, as it turns out, one of the other porn stars is married to a fella who is a very popular name in the gay porn business. So porn star A started talking to porn star B and said, hey, I didn't think your husband would be, he could do this. And porn star B was like, oh yeah, no, that could be great. Let me call him. And she just had that idea of, hey, we could just keep this in the family. But it's kind of like when, I got to spend some money anyway. Your brother-in-law does landscaping.
Yeah.
Let me get him the gig. And
So like,
So
hey,
her husband's gonna fuck her friend at work,
yeah,
and then
hey,
fuck
can you
the
imagine
dude.
that
And then-
conversation? Be like, hey man, I need to fuck your girl. She's cool with that, right? Then she's gonna fuck the other person. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, let me give her a call right now.
I don't have any friends that wouldn't kill me as I started the conversation.
Yeah, right.
well, the funny thing is, when you think about it, for most people, the craziest part of the conversation would be like, "Hey, so, telling you're a girl, and you tell your girlfriend, yeah, hey, I want your husband to come over and fuck me." Like, that for most people would be the most provocative part of the conversation. But then she's like, and then after that, I want her to fuck any dude that's within striking distance in the room, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think he could do it. Let me call and see if he's available.
So is he doing it?
I think it's going to happen. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
lord!
Yeah, we're just having to work around his shooting schedule because he's very popular.
What
in
does a
that,
gay porn star get paid?
Well,
I
see,
heard they get
those
paid a
guys-
lot.
Yeah, see,
Going back to the commodity
Right.
thing, getting a straight guy to bang a hot girl. I mean, come on, dude. I mean,
Oh, right,
you know what I mean?
line
Like,
up.
yeah.
Right,
Whereas you sit there and you tell a guy that, because even if you are a homosexual, right? There's still a social stigma behind it. I mean, I know that we've come leaps and bounds.
Right.
But, I mean, it'd be like if you found a porno of me and a girl, like when I was in my 20s, it's not going to put that much of a dent on my career. Be like, oh, well, Frank, I was being fucking wild.
Glad you
card.
brought that up. It's
Yeah,
right
right.
here.
But then all of a sudden, now you show a video of me blowing some dude. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I
That
mean?
changes the whole
Glad you
dynamic.
brought that up. It's right here.
Like, now that I'm lighting the bloat, everybody. Now we segue into the next thing.
Right.
My confession. No.
Right.
I mean, it'd be a big boost for the podcast.
Right.
There'd be that silver
We're
lining.
definitely hoping up a different demographic.
It really would. But yeah, no, those guys actually get paid. And the funny thing is that with that couple that I speak of, they are actually, of any of the people, I mean, her, I don't know him really, but knowing her, like, of all the people that work with us, she's like the most reliable person, like the easiest to get, like the most dependable. You just wish everybody was like her, you know? And they seem to have a perfectly
Dependable
happy-
meaning, she gets in there and she lets them fuck her.
She's
Now,
a pro.
my
Yeah.
experience of understanding the pay structure, right? It was on A&E. It was back, I mean, shit, this has to go back 10, 15 years ago when I still had cable before, everybody does Fire Stick or we have an Apple TV. So I'd fallen asleep and I woke up. It was the A&E channel. Fucking the wife was watching one of those fucking whatever Kardashians or whatever. So I woke up and it was a show about a male talent in the porn industry. And I did one on the guy, one on the girl, and the guy was a straight guy. He said he was straight, doing gay scenes, right?
Yeah.
And so how it ended, though, was he was like on the ski set, he's getting ready to go skiing. He goes, well, I just made $5,000 for an hour's worth of work. What the you know what I mean? Like, basically like punking us to be like, look, your inhibitions or your inhibitions to, is getting in your way. I just made $5,000 and I'm still, who gives a shit? And then like he skis off. But then, so I sat there and it says that, a male porn star for, gay porn, $1,500 to $5,000 a shoot.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a male talent, it's like, $100 to $300. You know what I mean? Like, you're not even getting.
You're fucking a lot of guys for a year's worth of living, though. Dear God.
Right? Yeah.
Seriously.
But then I'm sitting there, and as I'm watching them all, there's no way that dude's straight. It'd fuck with his head. Like, there's just no way.
There's no way
Yeah.
you're straight.
But then that's how it ended. The guy skied off, and then when it comes up with like the captions, and it goes so-and-so, then later, before this was released, he killed himself.
Oh, geez.
Shut the hell
Yeah,
up.
I'm just sitting
Must
there
have
going,
been a slow month.
that's exactly how I feel you should handle that situation.
Well, you're saying he skied off. That right there. It's like, oh, he's gay, dude.
For them, though, it's like, I mean, they're two people that seem to have found each other and they're perfect for each other and all that. We're like, hey, we're both bisexual and this all works out.
Yeah, that's
But
cool. I'm glad they found each other.
I mean, just keeping it in the family, that business. But anyway, so we're in the process of pulling that. Okay, so all of this as a long route to get to this message.
And what
that
I did was we were
received.
talking just the last preposition before we go through, right? I completely, like most men, I think, don't understand cuckolding. So I was like, hey, if any of our fans at home can explain this to me, what's going through a guy's head that actually, I
What's his turn
I don't
on,
fucking
right.
get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What are you getting off on?
Are you truly gay and you feel like this is one way of hiding it a little bit? Like it's like you're faking it and you just
the
don't want to
chick's
come out.
there,
Yeah,
right,
there's
right.
still a girl in the room and it's not a homosexual. It's like, well, no, it's a homosexual experience, but somehow muddying the waters in your own mind. Maybe you're some diehard Christian that just can't really cope with the fact that you're gay. And
Right.
So that's why I extended out of like, hey, someone at home, for the love of God,
Yeah.
please explain to me what would make you.
There's a cuckold who loves this show.
Enter one of our phone booth fighting listeners, Nick,
Nick.
who sent us this via our phone book fighting Facebook page. Frank, he says, hey guys, love the podcast. I've had a cuck experience and I loved it. I enjoyed watching my girl be dirty and see her turned on. Granted, the guy I knew had a very small dick and wasn't in good shape or anything. I was also a stripper at the time and was on a lot of coke and steroids.
Coke is a hell of a drug.
I don't know how that guy's penis size has anything to do with it.
That's him justifying the actions that happened.
Look, if that were to happen and I was dating a girl, and I can't even save my wife. Let's just pretend I have a
Yeah.
girlfriend on the
Right,
side.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even in this make-believe
Right,
world, I
right.
can't save
Yeah,
my wife.
right,
'cause
don't.
I'll fucking rage on my own
But yeah,
imagination,
yeah.
right?
It's a different universe, Frank.
Yeah, so in a different universe, I have this side chick, right?
Right.
And my side chick wants to get banged by another dude. I think that would help a little bit. I mean, you don't want to see the guy pull out a fucking 14-inch dick. Where you know what I mean? Like, God damn. You know what I mean? Like you're like, well,
She's
fuck.
not coming back to me after this.
Right? So
Yeah.
like the little, I could see that. It'd be like a girl, like, you never, as a guy, okay, I gave advice to one of my friends. He might be in a situation where he can have a threesome.
Yeah.
So the girl says, yes, I'll do this. And he goes, oh, so then I started calling my other girlfriend. I said, what are you doing? Are you fucking insane? He goes, what do you mean? I can't call. I'm like, no. Exactly.
Yeah, no.
You,
It's got to be all her idea.
fucking 100%.
And you better tell him.
You, as the man, better. It's like watching porno with
Yeah,
your wife.
like, if you want me
You
to.
can't fucking pick the porno. You gotta let them pick the porno, and you just enjoy.
Right.
So, like, as the man, you sit there because trust me, that girl's not picking a girl that's hotter than her.
Right.
She's gonna pick a girl that she feels that she's superior than, so that you're still hers. And I
Right.
can imagine if you're gonna cuckold as a guy, you don't want to pick some fucking stallion who fucking come out and you're like, oh well, yeah, I'm fucking fat lady. This guy's a 6-pack and a 14-inch schlong. God, and he pulled up in a Mercedes. Yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like this.
It's just the funny thing for all that talk. I mean, those numbers we threw out and everything. And to Rocky's point, I mean, like as far as like a $35,000 experience, that would be very likely if you were talking about something lasting like overnight or 24 hours or something like that. What we were talking about is probably
like
like
a in and out?
an hour. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But if you wanted like a full-on immersive, hey, let's all hang out for 24, like, yeah, I mean, there are easily 40 grand week, days and weekends.
To me, maybe because I'm thinking of that whole event, and in my mind, that's not an hour situation.
No way.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's like to me that's a scary ass situation.
I can see that. I volunteer for it. Yeah, man. You know, Mrs. Mear's okay with it. We're gonna make fucking so much money. I got the clearance from the wife. Go in, bang the girl, and be like, all right, now you got to bang the dude. Like, hey, give me a second, guys. I'll be back. Go use the bathroom. All of a sudden, they're like, hey, we're fucking running across the desert. Fuck you!
Oh, I was going to say.
Keep the money!
There is a number. It wasn't those low numbers we were talking about, but there is a number at some point where if I had gone to Mrs. Mear and I said, listen, I got this on the table. I mean, if it was like, I don't know, buying a summer home kind of money or something like that, smash cut to a sobbing Frank being dropped off at the brothel and her being like, I'll be back, pick you up in a day.
Yeah. Mrs. Mear is ruthless when it comes to fucking financial status.
Everybody's girl would think about it.
Here's how my wife is with money. When I've been injured before fights, you know who I'm most terrified to fucking tell? This is my fucking wife. I hate telling her because she's like, well, I mean, how bad is it? I remember...
You get in there.
Dude, I broke my fucking hand before I fought Bigfoot Silver, right?
Wow.
Broke my fucking bone straight through. I had her meet me at the hospital because I knew my hand was broken. I never felt that sensation before. I hit a guy on the top of the head. Boom, hand blew up, right? So, hey, practice stopped. I'm going to the emergency rooms, called the wife to meet me there because I need her to see the x-rays and watch this. So funny enough, the fucking guy, I'm sitting there, she goes, really, your hand? I'm like, my hand's fucked, babe, Jesus Christ. So they're doing the x-rays, but they only had me do my hand flat and sideways. They didn't have me do this fucking like the old okay thing. Yeah. So when the guy takes the x-ray, he goes, no, there's no fracture. And then my wife's looking at me like, you're trying to pull out of the fight? I'm like, no, my fucking hand. I mean, for 2 weeks before the fight, I even switched. If you watch the fight, I purposely fought left side forward. Yeah. Because I couldn't hit anybody with my right hand. In fact, I threw one on the ground. I punched him, and immediately my brain goes, "Don't ever do that again." And I start throwing elbows because I'm like my hand, Right. So I ended up knocking him down with a lead left hook. If anybody watches me fight, I usually fight out of a southpaw stance. Yeah. But then afterwards, thank fucking God, my hand, I still couldn't even shake someone's hand for like 4 or 5 months. I couldn't even do jiu-jitsu because if a guy went to fight grips, he grabbed my hand, I would scream. I'm like, fuck, man, this is, it's just a deep bruise. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, I've broken my leg. Yeah. Like, this is not a deep bruise. And so I went again to a different doctor, and they had me do the little okay symbol, and then sure enough, you go, oh yeah, look at this little line right through your scaphoid. You broke it right in fucking half. I'm like, oh, man. Honey, I'm like fucking on FaceTime with Jennifer, like, look, see, God damn it, She's like, oh, well, I guess it's a good thing you didn't find that, Do you
think by you leading with your left threw him off?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like you think that he's like, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah.
He doesn't fight like this.
Yeah. When you train for a guy that fights left-handed, most of your partners are left-handed that you're training with, or simulating a left-handed guy. So yeah, it throws you off.
I'm sure.
Butch, what's coming up comedy-wise? We talked about the residency here in Vegas. If anybody is coming through Vegas, a lot of people do on any given day. Butch has a residency at the Stratosphere Hotel and Casino inside the LA Comedy Club, 10 p.m. show 5 nights a week, and you can always go check him out there. But sometimes you go off and you'll take a week off and you get on, you go over to some foreign land or something.
Yeah, I'll be in Atlantic City at the Hard Rock in June, 3, 4, 5, 6. I am working on putting together, I talked to some commanders that requested a show to go downrange, so I am seriously thinking about, I was like, oh, maybe Frank and Richard would go. They could do handshaking and bring a show over to the Middle East. But May 5th, I got to deal with Guerrilla Records. They recorded me 2 weeks live in Vegas. That drops for Sirius Radio. Oh, cool. May 5th. It's called Butch Magic. And I'm shooting a special in June. So I got to deal with Brookwell McNamara. And so there's a couple of big networks involved in that. So we'll see where it lands in October.
Where are you going to shoot the special? special? Do you
I'm
know
going to
yet?
shoot it at LA Comedy
Okay.
Club. I don't want to do like a big theater and walk out there and look like all those Netflix guys. I want you to feel Vegas. I want you to see me in the crowd. So we're going to shoot it like that. So it's going to be cool.
LA Comedy Club's a perfect size room for comedy, in my opinion. I
And
mean, it played bigger places and everything, but that's I don't
it's
know.
like the belly room in the Comedy Store. It's a
Yeah.
real room. It's just real live comedy. You're going to see a comic either do really well or get snagged, and I want them to feel that feeling. So that's why we're going to film it that way.
Yeah. Frank, you writing any? It's been a while since we put you on stage.
Yeah,
Have
we
you
need
had
to.
any
Dude,
new-
you could do sets in the Middle East.
Well, no, I've still got my main set. I haven't really put anything. I had a little bit of a couple bits, and I think I call you up sometimes.
Yep.
I'll have ideas where I'm like, oh, this is kind of funny. And I'll start running it by, Rich.
He did it too once.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
did
went
you?
up there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How'd it go?
He did well.
Yeah.
Actually,
all
I
right.
think it's funny you bring this up. I was actually Austin Aries,
Uh-huh.
pro wrestler. He does stand up comedy. He's dabbling in that himself. And so I actually today in the gym, because we work out in the mornings together. I was, hey, let's maybe this Sunday we're both in town. Let's go down there and see. He was like, oh, do you think they'll let me on? I'm like, yeah, I know the guy.
Yeah.
I know a guy.
Yeah. Dude, that would be fun.
Yeah, I get up there and maybe so the two of us can get there and get some more. Yeah, I had to start making. I keep telling myself that, like, hey, when I'm in town, go down there and practice.
Yep.
But then it ends up I end up, sitting
Yeah.
on my ass.
Did it? Well, it's there for you. That'd be fun
Yeah,
to get both
so-
of you up.
Yeah, so if I can get Austin to come this Sunday, we'll be there.
All right. Sounds good. I think I'm doing the 8 o'clock show, too, this weekend. So that'd be a good
Now,
time.
when you do
We'll
the
all
8
be
o'clock
there.
show, do you also do the 10 o'clock?
It depends. Most of the time, Butch tries to bar me, but occasionally the club owner will override it. And be like, oh,
You're
go ahead and put
crazy.
him
You
on.
can do a spot any night you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Sometimes I do because I've opened Butch's shows too. So sometimes
I
I'll
love
do
when he
both.
opens them up. He comes out, he scares them. People think of Columbine and school shootings, and
Yeah.
brings the
Yeah,
room
you
right
should
up.
just br-
The Dylan Klebold.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
comedy.
right.
Black long coat.
Hello,
'cause,
everyone.
That's actually then my next step that I want to start doing is talking to Richard and writing together a set that doesn't really like right now. Most of my set is it helps if the crowd knows who I am. So I'm still playing Frank Mir, the fighter, and explaining situations.
Yeah.
Like now I'm just trying to just purely. I want to step out of that and just observational comedy and go, okay, well hey, like I started. The bit that I'm actually working on right now is to talk about the whole bathroom situation where people sit there, and can choose or select. Like I get to use the girls' bathroom, or I'm using the boys' bathroom.
okay.
You know what I mean? So
right.
the whole concept of like,
Crazy.
well, I'm an opportunist. You know what I mean? Like if it's necessary, I'm a girl just so I can go to the bathroom.
Right.
You're going through that. But again, like making more of my comedy, stepping one step further and being more, and not just,
You want to talk about you, the real stuff.
not just always just fixating on the fact that people, my martial arts career. And so I've based my first set off of that. So like I want to step outside that comfort zone and be a real comedian and step into like, okay, well now people don't know who the fuck you are, go.
Right.
One of the greatest things about being on Butch's shows is Butch is so self-confident in what he's going to be able to do that he's not worried about you as an opener trying new stuff.
I'm constantly worried about you. I got to tell you.
That's the thing. You're not worried about a thing. It doesn't matter what anybody
No,
does. And
no.
it's nice. All the comedians say that about you because for a lot of times you're thinking as an opener, well, I don't want to do anything too bizarre that's going to alienate the crowd and kill it for the headliner or whatever. And there's a lot of insecurity in comedy. So, this will sound like something I'm making up. But this actually happened to me one time at a show. I was hosting, and the feature act did really well. He really, really did well. And the headliner came up to me before, as that guy was killing, a guy I did not know, by the way. It's not like we were buddy.
Yeah.
I'd never even met this guy before. And the headliner said to me, hey, when you introduce me, say, okay, you think that was funny. Wait till you see this guy.
Oh boy, he's setting himself up for death.
Yeah,
really? That's a
but
no.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
But it was I didn't do it anyway because I just didn't think it was. To me, you're
saved him.
diminishing. You're also diminishing what the guy just did.
True.
You're telling
Yeah,
them.
you're stepping on his neck
Okay,
to-
this is going to be funnier than what you just
Yeah,
saw.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
I didn't think of that at
Yeah.
first, but now
Yeah,
You should have went up there and be like, all right, here's your headliner, and your headliner wanted me to tell you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
Might have killed him. Yeah, that's the one thing I've noticed, the difference between like just the comedy bits I've done that you possess on that level. I guess it would be akin to watching a professional fighter at a top level fight and spar in the gym and you see the other guys, is that other people, like even the good comedians, seem like they're working with the room, you know, like they're almost like, you know, say something, feel the response, see how they can adjust. Where I noticed when you went up there, you actually like control the room. It's almost like this is fucking funny and you're gonna laugh. I'm gonna show you. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like that confidence of just you know what I mean? I'm not worried about how you guys are gonna respond. I know how you're gonna respond.
Yeah, I hope that. Yeah, I mean, now I'm at a point, and that room has made me a beast because I'm in there every night. It's like a playpen. So that room is you can hear it, you can feel it, it's intimate. So that's usually what I think in my mind. I'm going to go out and set the room. But with that room, it's like a dock. Feels like you can flip over sometimes, and you're like, holy.
And it can be unpredictable. and the funny thing is, like, as a friend, I would normally feel a bit conflicted when I'm at one of your shows and I'm thinking, this is a weird crowd, I don't know how this goes. But knowing that it's Butch, I'm actually excited to watch that show because I'm going, this has real potential. And when he goes to crowd work, that's when, to me, it's really at its zenith. And in fact, Jennifer, I was telling her, because she's the real Butch Bradley fan in our house. I told her she missed one. I don't know, a couple of months back, but I told her, you missed the best night, because he had a guy, I don't even remember this or not, there was a guy in the back of the room that was on his cell phone. And you can see, you know, the screen illuminates the face. I mean, you can see it. And Matt, the club owner, and I were actually at the comedian's table in the back before you said anything about this guy, noticing it. And Matt was like, fuck, this guy's been on. I mean, he didn't just check it quick. I mean, it was like he was on it, right? And so Butch is, you know, going through the majority of his set, and all of a sudden just left turn to the guy that's on the phone, and he starts in with, you know, what are you doing? Like, where are you, you know, who are you talking to? And the guy tried to say he was like texting with his wife, and Butch was like, well, where's your wife? You're in Las Vegas. You don't bring her to Las Vegas? And he's like, she's back home in Iowa or whatever. He had the best line. It was, he starts just digging, and then, you know, the guy had like 3 kids or something back home with the wife in Iowa, and Butch goes into like, I'll bet she's fucking everybody in that town while you're not here. He goes, you know what? He goes, I'll bet you get home on Monday and you got 2 more kids. How about that?
Yeah, I remember working that guy.
Yeah. But it's
the
like
darkness that comes out of me on stage.
It's like elite ground and pound, because the crowd is just like, there's a part where the crowd's kind of like feeling the pain and they're doubled over. And I remember seeing it do it one night to a guy, and somebody in the crowd, in between like belly laughs, goes, just stop on the guy. And Butch just goes, I'm not done yet.
Yeah, that room is fun, man. You can get into it.
I have no sympathy for anybody who speaks up at a comedy show.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's like, well, you know what? You had it coming. You know what I mean? The guy's a professional. He has the mic, and you want to be an asshole? Like, wow, you chose a really bad opportunity.
So when my wife and I go watch him, because we've seen him hundreds of times. I've known Butch for 18 years now. It's we no longer watch Butch. We watch the crowd. And then we play the game of picking out who's gonna get fucked up.
Oh yeah.
And it's like it's that couple right.
Yeah.
It's that couple right there. Watch.
I was polite when I first started, and that's how I knew not to be, because I was raised like a polite kid. And there was a beautiful woman in the front row, and this is like in Boston at a place called Daisy Buchanan's. It was notorious for being tough. And her husband was there, and I riffed. I go, you have to be a writer. And he goes, I am. That's crazy. And I improv'd my earlier set through him writing it home that night. And people were loving it. I was new, and I was like, wow, oh my God, I'm doing so well. And she said, do you have anything written? And she looked at the crowd like she brought them in. She goes, we paid to hear jokes.
Oh, wow.
And she was gorgeous, and it was his wife. And in my mind, I'm like, I can't be disrespectful to this guy's wife, to this woman, and she's pretty. And I was like, I just ate it so hard. But when I left and I got my head on, I was like, I am never going to fucking pull back on anybody again. Everybody is just everybody.
Fair game.
Yeah, and that woman, I never forget her, how mean she was.
How, for example, like, because my thing is I don't make eye contact, right? No, listen. If I'm watching a show, like it happened to me, it's been a couple years back, but I was in Seattle. Jennifer's uncle knows I love comedy, so we went to a comedy show. Well, the comedians recognized me. You know what I mean? I could see it at one point. One of the guys even said something about a UFC fighter. So they're saying, so I could see them looking over. And every time they would look at me, I would just look them in the chest to be like, okay, I don't want to be part of your act. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be part of your act, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a nice guy. I'm laughing. I'm enjoying myself. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to step on the mat with me. I don't want to step up the stage with you. You know what I mean? Like, let's all acknowledge our strengths and weaknesses. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you'll win. I don't want to be the butt of your joke right now. You know what I mean? Like, so is there some way? I mean, obviously,
that would have worked for me. I would have known. I would have been like, this dude's cool. He's trying to chill. I'm not going to blow him up.
Yeah. All right. So that's something. Yeah,
I would have taken.
I just kind of like look, and I don't look away. I just kind of like, okay, I kind of look at your chest, lower my eyes a bit. Just, hey, you know what I mean? Like, just be nice and be like, hey.
I might have said something like, look, when Frank Mir with his face tells you don't talk to me, you know what? You don't talk to him. You know what I mean? I might have just made a little, Frank Mir, thanks for coming out, bud. I'm not going to mess with you. He kind of told me with his face,
Yeah.
I would have done that.
But you see guys that go out there, that's why I don't feel bad for them. So obviously, being obnoxious, shouting shit out
those guys, you're
fucked. You're gonna the fucking red beat on your fucking forehead. But how does someone maybe, because if you're looking for somebody, is that like, or does somebody always pretty much fucking make themselves the asshole?
It's really strange. I've seen a common one too is if a wife or a girlfriend is really enjoying me, I'll see like an insecure guy go, whatever, like he'll get bugged out that she's enjoying me.
You're comedically cuckolding.
Yeah.
I never thought about that because I love comedy. I don't think
some guys get weird,
Man, it's like my favorite pastime. Honestly, like before fights, I watch specials. I'm on Reddit reading jokes. You know what I mean? Like, I just think humor is an easy way to let off steam.
I think. I mean, to that last question you asked, I think another thing that you always have to consider too is someone being an asshole to be obnoxious, or does somebody not realize that they're going a little too far?
I can tell.
No, I know.
I can tell
but
fast.
You know what I'm saying? Like
usually they're drunk. They
elaborate
can't
a little bit more. What do you mean?
Well, what I mean is, like, let's say somebody. Okay, let's say there was a point in your set where you called out for something, or you got in a brief back and forth with somebody. What do you do for a living? That kind of thing. And they don't realize that they should just answer the one question, but then not keep contributing to the act. But sometimes they don't. It's not because they're being a drunk asshole. They just didn't know when to stop. So that kind of person, you to me, you don't want to turn on because the audience likes them.
Right.
You just have to find a polite way to be like, okay, this, we're going to phase you out of the show now.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was fearful of, because in the Seattle, the reason why I haven't got, I guess to preface, started off with the reason why the people even notice me is I have a very loud, hard laugh. And I was sitting in the second row.
Oh, cool, right.
And as I'm laughing, they noticed me.
Right.
And then I sat there and went, oh, shit. I didn't, set anybody off, unintentionally just being loud. But I mean, like, when I find something funny, I'm that guy that's laughing, crying. You know what I mean? I stomp my foot. I find, when I'm very animated,
A key for me is I have to, if you do say something really crazy to me, like out of the blue, like, what the fuck, you're trying to attack me, I have to repeat it, because I have been snagged attacking someone, and the room's like, what?
What'd you do?
I watched a woman.
Oh, okay, yeah, because they can't hear.
I watched a woman, an older woman, throw an ashtray towards the waitress. It was like slow motion in Atlantic City. The waitress ducked, not knowing it was coming. It missed her. It was full. It would have split her head open. It landed and bounced across the room. And I attacked this older woman like nuts. Crazy. And then all I could feel was how the room was dead silent. Like,
they
he
didn't
was
know what
really
happened.
funny and nice a minute ago.
Yeah.
He's
But
a
they didn't know
mental
what-
patient.
Yeah.
And I went in the back and I thought, I'm fired. And the owner came in and he was laughing so hard. He goes, I'm the only one that saw that. He goes, I saw the
most
ashtray.
important guy to see it.
Yeah. He goes, dude, I was dying though watching you eat it after that.
But you know what, though? The old people in Atlantic City, the women,
Yeah.
they're fucking,
They're
like,
tough.
they're fearless as shit.
They're tough.
I fought Tank Abbott there, right? So
Okay.
I'm 23 years old, 22. I'm not a small person. I remember I was walking around the casino with my wife, and at one point I told her, I said, I think I'm going to fucking knock an old bitch out right now. Like, holy shit. Like, you be walking, and they fucking bump you.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fucking walker. Like, it's like, I'm like, excuse me. You know, and I'm a polite guy. I
Yeah,
hold doors. I
yeah.
let people pass. But I mean, I'm like sitting there, like getting ran over from behind because like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were going in that fucking line.
Right,
Like,
right.
I didn't see you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, Jesus Christ.
I don't do age discrimination either. I realize older people have lived everything, and they love when I go after them. I'm like, look at you, little old ladies. You're looking for a little fun tonight, aren't you? And they're like, like they want in. They hate when you change a show. If they come into my 10 o'clock show, they know what they're getting into.
makes me feel so alive.
Yeah.
It probably feels good to be treated on equal par.
It
you know, 'cause
does. It does. It does.
Well, let's put a wrap on this one.
Always a
thanks, guys,
pleasure
for
being
coming
here,
in,
gentlemen.
Butch.
Thank you so
Everybody
much.
Follow Butch Bradley on the social media, and Rocky, we need to get you to wrap the side of the building or something out here. I don't know what we do. Do you do that? Do you just drive around looking at blank canvases all the time?
I used to
going,
do that all the
This
time.
should be wrapped.
I used to do that all
Yeah.
the time, and
Yeah.
I stopped.
Yeah.
Gets you in trouble.
Yeah. Hey, Frank, I don't think we mentioned this on the podcast, but here in a couple of weeks, you're going to be making your debut on Chael Sonnen's Submission Underground.
Yeah, I think I'm going against Fabiana Scherner,
Yeah.
May 12th.
Yeah. Yep. Up in Portland,
Portland,
right?
yeah.
At I think it's Roseland Ballroom. That's where they always do those. And unless it's the venue's changed, I think
No,
that's where they usually do them. And that's, of course, the grappling show that Chael Sonnen puts on. It's going to be streamed live on UFC Fight Pass, so you can watch it there. Our old buddy Chael. I texted him yesterday to see about getting him to come on to promote it. So hopefully maybe before the event we can get him on. Chael's very busy these days. He's having a lucrative broadcasting career over there on ESPN, so always pull for him. Well, ironically, one of the good guys for somebody who calls himself a bad guy.
He knows
Yeah.
how to play the game.
Yeah.
He's very good at it.
Yeah, and a right-wing Republican, too, yet I consider him a close friend.
Yeah,
That,
well,
that shows you
know
how
what,
much
though?
range I've
He
got.
defends his points.
He does.
And I can deal with anybody that doesn't agree with me. You and
That's
I feel
right.
the same way.
Yep.
As long as you explain why you
Yep.
think that way, I'm going to be okay with it.
Completely agree. Makes for fun car rides whenever the American gangster's in the back seat. All right, for Frank Mir, that's going to do it for us. Everybody be sure to follow the show on social media. Thanks once again to Butch and Rocky for coming in. Be sure to hit up phoneboothfighting.com, click through that Amazon banner, support the show. We need it. Also, all T-shirts in the store right now. All T-shirts at phoneboothfighting.com are $15.
Awesome.
Because we got to make some room for some. We got to do a new T-shirt design. It's been too long.
Yeah, anybody follows me on my stuff at Frank Mir. You can look at any of my Mitraspec and Black Belt CBD, two of the companies that I've been working with really closely now. That's been immensely helping me out in my training as far as maintenance of injuries and pain tolerance.
Check all that out on Frank's Instagram and other social media. So for everybody here, I'm Richard Hunter. We'll see you right back here next time on Phone Booth Fighting.